My beloved child, masturbation may feel like a quick fix, but afterward it leaves you empty. You were not made for that cycle of guilt and silence. Struggling with masturbation, you were made to walk in power, in purity, in freedom. Let me remind you through the stories of others who gave into flesh and what it cost them. Esau traded his birthright for a meal because he couldn't wait. He was tired and hungry, and in one impulsive moment he said, "What good is my birthright?" So he sold it for a bowl of stew. He lost something eternal for something instant. My child, every time you give in, the enemy wants you to believe it's just this once. But sin always takes more than it gives. Don't trade your spiritual inheritance for a moment of relief. Wait for me, I will fill you with what truly satisfies. The Israelites cried for meat, and it made them sick. I was feeding them with manna, bread from heaven, but they craved something more. They begged for meat, and I gave it. But their craving became their curse. What they demanded in the flesh poisoned them in the end. My beloved, when your flesh cries louder than your faith, stop and listen. Your appetite may feel urgent, but it doesn't have to rule you. I want to feed your spirit, not with what spoils, but with what sustains. The rich fool built bigger barns, but lost his soul that night. He had so much, so he said, "I'll take it easy, eat, drink, and enjoy life." But I said to him, "You fool, tonight your soul is required of you." He built his life around comfort and ignored his soul. My child, don't feed your urges and starve your spirit. Don't pursue what feels good now and lose what matters most later. Your soul is eternal, and I want to fill it with my presence, not your impulses. My child, I know the shame that comes after you fall. I see how quickly you pull away, how you hide from me and from others, believing I should know better. But I did not come to condemn you, I came to free you. Let me show you three who hid and what it cost them. Adam and Eve covered themselves and hid from me in the garden. When they sinned, they felt exposed, so they ran and covered themselves with leaves. But I came anyway. I called out, "Where are you?" Not because I didn't know, but because I wanted them to come out of hiding. My beloved, I still ask you the same question. Where are you? Not to shame you, but to restore you. You don't need fig leaves. You don't need filters. You need me, and I'm already reaching for you. King Saul spared what I told him to destroy and lied about it. I told him to destroy everything from the enemy, but he kept what looked valuable. Then when confronted, he said, "I obeyed the Lord." But partial obedience is still disobedience, and the lie cut him off from my voice. My child, don't keep what I told you to kill. Don't justify the videos, the secrecy, the just this once. Expose the lie, and you'll be free. I can't bless what you pretend isn't there. Ananias and Sapphira hid their greed and fell under judgment. They wanted to appear holy. They wanted people to be impressed, but they lied, not to men, but to me. And what they hid cost them everything. Beloved, I don't need your performance. I want your honesty. You don't have to pretend to be strong. You just have to be real. I don't reject the weak. I restore the humble. My child, sin doesn't start with the act. It starts with the appetite, what you see, what you dwell on, what you chase in your thoughts. It all feeds the flesh, and every fantasy entertained becomes a foothold for bondage. Let me show you what happens when people feed the wrong things. Lot chose the fertile land of Sodom, and it corrupted his soul. When Lot had to choose where to live, he didn't ask me. He looked towards Sodom. It looked lush, easy, and full of opportunity, but he didn't see the poison. And soon, Sodom wasn't just near him, it was in him. Even when destruction came, his wife looked back and his daughters had been deeply influenced. My child, you may think you're just watching or imagining, but Sodom changes you. The more you expose your mind to impurity, the more your heart adjusts to it. Turn your eyes from what looks appealing and fix them on me. Herod watched Herodias' daughter dance and gave in to pride and lust. He was drunk with pleasure, flattered by entertainment, and then made a promise he couldn't take back. Because of what he saw and what he wanted in that moment, he ordered the death of John, my prophet. Lust dulls your discernment. It makes you reckless. It leads you to choices you never thought you'd make. Herod didn't hate me, but his appetite controlled him. Don't let desire rob you of your calling. Delilah fed Samson's desire until it cost him everything. Samson had my spirit. He had strength no one could match, but he played with fire again and again, letting lust blind his wisdom. And finally, Delilah got what she wanted. He was captured, his eyes gouged out, and his power gone. My child, masturbation may seem like a small thing, but when you keep returning to lust, you're laying your head in Delilah's lap. It may feel intimate, but it's draining your strength. I gave you power to be holy. Don't waste it on what only weakens you. My child, I know you feel stuck. I know you've said, I'll never do it again, and then fallen again. You wonder if something's broken inside you, if freedom is even possible. But listen to me, you're not powerless. You're just untrained. Let me show you 3 who struggled, not because they were evil, but because they weren't yet equipped. Moses struck the rock in anger because he didn't control his emotions. He had led my people faithfully for years. But when they complained again, he exploded. I told him to speak to the rock, but he struck it twice in frustration. And though the water came out, the cost was high. He couldn't enter the promised land. My child, emotions don't need to rule you. Anger, frustration, loneliness, they're signals, not masters. When you give in to masturbation just to quiet your feelings, you're striking the rock instead of seeking me. Train your spirit to pause, pray, and press into my presence, even when it's hard. Gideon feared his weakness, but I called him a mighty warrior. He was hiding in fear, convinced he had nothing to offer. But I saw more than his weakness. I saw what I had planted in him. I said, go in the strength you have. And he did, my beloved. Your weakness doesn't disqualify you. What matters is who you trust in your weakness. If you lean on yourself, you'll fall. But if you lean on me, I'll make you strong. You are not a slave to sin. You are a warrior in training. Timothy was young and timid, yet Paul told him to stir up the gift inside. He doubted himself. Others looked down on him. But Paul didn't say, try harder. He said, fan into flame the gift of God, because I'd already placed my power in him. He just needed to activate it. My child, the spirit I've given you is not timid, it is bold. You don't need to fight lust alone, but you must stir up what I've already placed in you. My word, my presence, my power. My child, keeping it inside won't save you, it will only strangle you. Sin thrives in darkness. It whispers, don't tell anyone, they'll judge you, you'll lose everything. But those are lies from the one who wants to keep you bound. Let me show you 3 who found freedom, not through performance, but through surrender. King David confessed his sin, and I restored his heart. He had committed adultery. He had arranged a man's death. He broke covenant, broke trust, broke hearts. But when my prophet confronted him, David didn't defend himself. He fell to his knees. He cried out, create in me a clean heart, O God. And I did, my child. I already know what you've done. But I'm not looking for excuses. I'm looking for repentance. If David, a king who fell so far, could be forgiven and restored, so can you. The tax collector beat his chest and went home justified. He stood at a distance, ashamed to even look up. He said only, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. And you know what I said? That man went home justified, not the proud one beside him who pretended to be clean. Beloved, you don't need perfect words. You don't need spiritual achievements. You just need to come low, and when you do, I will lift you up. The lepers cried out for mercy, and I cleansed them. They stood far off, isolated, unclean, unwanted by society. But they cried out to me, and I didn't turn away. I healed them all. And one came back, fell at my feet and gave thanks, and I made him whole, not just healed. My child, when you cry out, I respond. I don't run from brokenness, I rush toward it. Your voice of surrender moves my heart faster than any ritual ever could. My beloved, I didn't create your body for shame, I created it for glory. I didn't design you to be ruled by urges, I made you to carry my presence. You are not an object, you are not just flesh. You are a living temple, set apart to house my spirit. But when you treat your body like a playground, sin takes the throne. Masturbation trains you to use yourself rather than honor me. It teaches your soul that pleasure is the highest goal, but you were made for something far greater, holiness. The money changers polluted my father's house, and I cleansed it. They filled the temple courts with noise, greed, and self-interest. They turned a place of prayer into a place of profit. So I overturned their tables, drove them out, and said, my house shall be a house of prayer. My child, your body is now that temple. When lust and secrecy fill the space where I should dwell, I will come to cleanse it, not to shame you, but to restore its purpose. Let me flip the tables. Let me drive out what doesn't belong. I won't leave you empty. I will refill you with peace and purity. Uzzah touched the ark carelessly and died because the sacred became casual. He didn't mean to be irreverent. He thought he was helping. But in that moment, he forgot the weight of my holiness. He treated what was holy as something common, and the result was death. My child, don't let the culture teach you that your body is just physical. It is sacred. It was bought with a price, my blood. When you engage in self-gratification as if it's harmless, you cheapen what I've declared holy. Treat your body as a vessel of honor. I will help you see it rightly again. Nadab and Abihu offered strange fire and were consumed. They were priests. They knew the way. But they brought fire that I didn't authorize, something man-made. It looked religious, but it wasn't pure, so my fire consumed them. Beloved, masturbation often feels like relief, like a personal outlet, but it's a strange fire. It burns in a place I never lit. It offers a false intimacy that pulls you away from my real presence. You are not filthy, you are not worthless, but you must stop treating yourself like you are. You are a temple, you are sacred, you are mine. Let me cleanse what has been defiled. Let me fill your body, not with shame or craving, but with my glory.